Welcome back to the Healthy Commute. I'm Dr. Dan with Dr. Pascal. So today we want to address, again, a question that we receive quite often from patients, and which is simply, okay, doc, I'm doing better, I'm feeling better. So now, how many adjustments will I need to help maintain my spine? Because I think part of that, the reason why they're asking us this question is they know that they've put in some work to stabilize, help their spines feel and function better, and they do not want their spines to kind of slide back to where they were because they remember, waking up with pressure or pain and not being able to bend down and tie their shoes or whatever it is. So they want to continue to get better, but they want to try to find a way that, okay, what can I do and how often will I need an adjustment to maintain that good, momentum?
And I think a good way for people to sort of understand where we're getting at, or what patients are asking of us, is starting kind of like day one. So someone comes in with a specific problem, right? Oftentimes it's because they've, newly acquired back pain, or they've got chronic neck pain. They have a health concern that they want help with.
Yeah.
Sometimes someone comes in because they want to, improve their posture, but they have a concern that they come in with, and then we start to help them address that concern, right? But I think it's really important to understand, I guess, the two different models that might exist in chiropractic, and really the two different models that exist in healthcare in general, right? Which is sort of like your quick pain fix, or what people just think about removing pain, versus getting to the root of the problem, right? Correcting the problem as a whole, and then maintaining health from there on.
Right. And I think part of that, like you said, we see it in all different aspects of health.
Right.
But again, I think a great analogy is dentistry, where 50 years ago, the understanding was, okay, I have a tooth that hurts, I live with it as long as I can, then I go in, they pull the tooth, and that's it, and we start over. So that's what we call, let's say, a short-term or pain kind of based model. And we could do that with weight, we could do that with our heart disease, we could do that with anything. We could basically just address it in the short term. Or we could do kind of that bigger picture of, no, not only do I want to feel good, but I want to maintain things. Now I want to brush my teeth, floss my teeth, see a dentist every 6 months to basically help to maintain the good health of, whether it's my teeth, my joints, my organs, everything as a whole.
So to put that in context, the patient comes in, they have back pain, okay? And so we can approach it one of two ways of both models. The pain relief way is, we adjust them a couple of times, maybe 3-4 times, the back pain gets better, high five, come and see me when your back hurts again, right? In that model, we did not look at what was initially causing the pain. What were the lifestyle factors that caused this problem to develop, right? And we didn't really do anything to change lifestyle factors, change the status of the spine to prevent this from coming back. So that's model one, is a bit of pain care, a couple of adjustments, and off you go, and there's no talk about prevention, there's no talk about maintenance or long-term health. The other end of the spectrum, the corrective care, is where we look at not only reducing pain, but changing the structure of the spine. And what we've found, obviously in clinical practice and tons of research, not only in chiropractic, but really in the surgical literature, is starting to show us that as the spine breaks down, not just in what we call degeneration and arthritis, but in positioning. So as someone's head starts to shift forward, as they lean too far to the side, as they develop this abnormal curvature, you're going to get accelerated pain, accelerated degeneration, nervous system problems, balance, coordination, you name it. We're starting to see more, not only pain, but health concerns and breakdown. And what this research also shows us is that if we can correct those problems and bring the spine back to normal, so corrective care, that person can do significantly better, not only in the short term, in the long term. So the question that we're addressing today is, okay, doc, so if we can get me, to be quote unquote fixed or improve my spine, how am I going to maintain it there? What's it going to be required of me to keep my spine in that healthy position so that I can continue to feel this great?
Right, and I think to answer that question for patients, the easiest way we could describe it is, it depends.
Exactly. The answer you don't want to hear, but it's not a cookie cutter.
Because everybody's spine life is different.
Yes.
And so we used to joke around that, okay, well, if you're a yoga instructor with no kids and eating spinach and drinking water all day.
And hanging upside down.
You may need dramatically less adjustments
yes.
over the long haul to maintain your spine, because there's less pressure, less stress. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, if you're, let's say, a construction worker that carries thousands of pounds on their backs every day, a terrible posture, eats, kind of fast food every day, doesn't sleep,
no water,
no water,
no stretching.
So on that side of the spectrum, they may need dramatically more as a whole to maintain that spine.
Yeah.
Right? So there's a few factors that we always look at. So number one is the severity of damage in the spine that you came in. So meaning whether you're 20, 40, 60, or 80 years old is what did you come in with? Was there a problem from an old injury? How long has it been there? Because the more severe the injury or prior injuries, the more work that will need to be there to maintain that, because it's not as stable as it once was.
And just to be perfectly clear, that's not when the pain started, Dr.
Right,
Yan.
right.
So the severity of the injury could be whiplash that happened 10 years ago, although the pain only started 2 weeks ago.
Exactly.
Sorry,
Yeah,
continue.
yeah. So the severity of the damage in the spine.
Yeah.
And to some extent the age of the patient as
Yeah.
well, right? In terms of how quickly will you be able to heal. So meaning that a 10-year-old child will be able to recover, heal, and maintain quite a bit more than a 70-year-old patient,
Yes.
right? I think that could be easily seen. Now, the other key thing is the patient's lifestyle.
Yes.
Meaning that, okay, so what are they doing for work? Are they sitting down all day? Are they a yoga instructor or a construction worker? What does their kind of day look like? Are they active? Are they working out on a daily basis? Are they stretching? What's their nutrition intake? Are they drinking water? All those things matter tremendously to how well their spine will be able to maintain and hold those adjustments.
Right.
But the other key thing is, how are they doing with their corrective exercises and stretches, right? So we go over that with our patients, within usually the first few weeks of their care, meaning that, okay, so now my job is to adjust the spine, move the bones, take the pressure off the disc, the joints, and the nerves. But your job is to now hold those adjustments in place, meaning that, the more of those stretches and exercises and stretches you do, the easier the spine will be able to stay in place. The longer the spine is able to stay in place, the longer or the less adjustments you'll need over the long haul.
Correct.
Right? So those are the key usually things that factor. Now, then the other key thing is we think about is the three main, what we call the three-legged stool of, care. So the first is, how well have the patient done in maintaining adjustments in what we call in rhythm, meaning that, if they're coming in once a week or 3 times a week or every 2 weeks, how regular are those? Because the body loves consistency
Yeah.
and habits, right? Brushing your teeth twice a day or doing those things on a regular routine. The spine and the body loves a habit. So the more regular those adjustments are in place, like meaning that every Monday at 9. So it's just a rhythm for the body. And the other key thing is breaking bad habits. Because if we're adjusting the spine, the patient's doing their stretches and exercises, but they're on their phone on Facebook and Instagram for 4 hours a day with their head down, that's kind of like, brushing your teeth and flossing and seeing your dentist, but you're sucking on lollipops all day long. No matter how great you brush your teeth, there's always going to be a problem. So we need to break those bad habits. And like we just talked about as well, and the third aspect of that is doing those stretches and exercises at home.
So, those are sort of to give you the details or the items that we use to make that clinical judgment for the individual patient, right?
Yeah.
So it's going to boil down to obviously your preferences, right? In terms of like how often do you want to come based on potentially your time, your availability, your life, how busy you are, what we've seen in clinical practice and the research. Now the research shows us that, probably anywhere from once a week to once a month, with probably once every 2 weeks, once a week to once every 2 weeks, probably being the most common where people do very well. Some people want to choose, a frequency that's less frequent than that. That's fine. But I'm going to tell you that the average person to maintain and do very well is once a week to once every 2 weeks consistently. They do great. Mm-hmm. Myself, we both get adjusted once a week. And sometimes if it's a busy week and we're working hard on adjusting people, I'll get adjusted twice a week. I do my traction exercises at least once a week, and I do postural stuff 3 to 4 times a week. That works for me, and I've maintained quite well in terms of how I feel and function with that schedule.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? And sometimes people say, hey doc, well, once I've done my corrective care, can I just come in when I hurt and when things hurt? Sure. You absolutely could choose to do that, but same thing, if we look at the research, you're probably going to need more care over the course of the year if you do that, because when things do flare up and when you have a problem, it's going to take more care to get you out of a crisis in that short time frame than it would to consistently maintain your health in your spine. So you'll have more days of pain, more days of disability, and you're going to have higher out-of-pocket costs just to be able to undo the effects of what we call quote-unquote acute or crisis care. There was a research project out of Sweden that looked at that in terms of consistency versus acute care, that the consistency required less in terms of resource investment, time, and then fewer days of pain. So
and think of it again kind of like an analogy of changing the oil in your car. So you could do that 2-3 times a year, and yes, there's a cost for that, but the long range costs are greatly decreased because it's just been maintained properly. It's the same exact thing for the spine.
Absolutely.
Now, just you saying that makes me, think of, kind of a thing that we've heard a ton in chiropractic, almost like a joke is, well, once you start going to a chiropractor, you have to go forever.
Right.
Now, is that true?
No.
It's still completely the patient's choice. Now, again, we've seen many, many patients choose to continue their maintenance or wellness care simply for the fact that they know that they feel better, they function better, and they also want to know that when they're 50, 60, 70, 80 years old, they will still be able to move the way that they want to, right? They understand that.
And so if you really think about the picture of, let's play a picture of, we'll use a 38-year-old female, just as a patient, suffering with back pain for 10 years. Right? Pretty significant back pain where it's limiting in career, sleep, family life. Tried massage, has done some physio, seen the medical doctor, done 5 or 6 different things, and some things maybe help a little bit, but still suffering significant problems every day. Comes in, does a round of corrective care, and 3-4 months later, high five, doc, I feel great. Okay, I'll see you when my back starts to hurt again.
Yeah.
Well, a few months down the road, that pain and the problem came back again, and that person then realized and said, hey, well, doc, if I maintain this consistently instead of working really hard and letting it slip, your quality of life is better. You're not getting regressions in pain. So that patient chose to keep coming consistently versus just showing up when the pain showed up again.
Right.
Does that make sense? And so that's kind of the idea. Someone says, well, why does that person have to keep coming? Well, they keep coming because they realize that if they stop that consistency, their quality of life decreases significantly. And so for some people, that routine maintenance is key to helping them feel and function at their best.
But that makes me think of maybe another question that I've received from patients in the past is, okay, doc, so we've done all of this work. We've done this 3 months, corrective care where I was coming 3 times a week, twice a week, once a week, whatever it was. I was doing my stretches, my exercises. We saw some great changes on x-ray, on posture. I'm doing so much better. But why can't my spine just stay there?
Because you haven't removed all the bad habits.
Why can't my spine just stay in that good position? And exactly that. The reason is because every day there is some form of pressure that still is on our spine. And like we talked about before, it all depends again on your lifestyle. So the yoga instructor that eats spinach and drinks water with no kids, there's less of that accumulative pressure that builds, right?
Yeah.
So again, it comes down to, well, what are you doing or what kind of life are you leading in terms of how fast that's going to break down back to where it was before,
Yep.
right? So it's always, yes, there's definitely some parts of it that is the adjustment, that is the stretching, that is the exercise, but there is the other thing is, okay, what else can I do to decrease that pressure and stress? Meaning that, are you sitting down all day or can you get a stand-up desk, right? Or what are you eating? Are you able to eat a little bit better? Are you able to drink a little bit more water? Are you able to do a little bit more stretching and exercise? Because those are all things that help you maintain your spine as a whole.
Well, and you have to also think that when someone comes in, they're in significant pain, they're highly motivated to get it fixed, right?
Yep.
And after 3 months of corrective care, for instance, where they've done multiple times a week, they're radically different. They're feeling great. The incentive, the drive, right, to keep doing the stretches, the exercises, the traction also drops by like 80-90%.
Yep.
So you stop doing the adjustments, you stop doing your stretches, exercises, and traction, and if those bad habits are still there, that's where it really breaks it down, right? And so there's research that shows that people who do everything right at home can maintain a lot of that correction, and they can do very well. The reality is most of us omit that aspect of continuing with the proper healthy habits of stretches and exercises and decreasing the phone time, computer time, and so on and so forth. And so, you know, that's where it comes into play.
So maybe as a recap, right, we talked about, I guess, 3 major things to help maintain a spine. Number 1 is those adjustments in rhythm, whether that's once a week, once every 2 weeks, once a month, you know, breaking some of those bad habits that we have, and doing our corrective exercises and stretches to help to maintain our spine, right? So hopefully that could maybe clear some things up or help you. But the other key thing is, you know, I know that some of this you know, our patients are listening to this podcast, but if there's any friends or family member that you want to be able to share this podcast with, just to maybe help them, you know, in some way, shape or form, because our passion is just to help people in general, right? So if this could help someone else, please forward that on to them. And if they have any questions or concerns, we're always here to help in any way we can, whether it's a call, 204-474-1159, or an email, info@lindenwoodschiropractic.com. We are here to help in any way we can.
So we'll see you next time on The Healthy Commute. Have a great day.